Day number 3 of the Way of the Horse. It's been a wonderful first couple of days.
Certainly is, Tim, and thank you, and hi to everybody. We're excited about day 3. Of course, I always love day 3 because we start to see some of the horses ridden and see how the personalities are changing with the horses, and it's interesting to see day 3, what they've learned over the last 2 days, so I'm pretty excited.
Well, we might start down this end of the arena. We'll get our cameraman to zoom in onto this grey horse, Damien Hall's horse. And Damien was raised in northwestern New South Wales, and very early in his life he was exposed to horses. He's had a bit of a tough day for first day. It was a bit fiery, this grey horse. How do you think she's going coming into day 3?
Oh, well, day 1 was very interesting, of course. We saw that she, liked to stand up and show us her belly a little bit. Damien's managed that quite well. And as we all saw, out of all 3 horses that came in, actually all 6 horses when they first came in for selection, this mare was the most herd-bound, and, that's not uncommon either. But as you see her today, that's just all slowly disappearing, and that just means that Damien's imprinting some information in her mind, so she's becoming more content.
We move into the middle arena today. Mitch Gollan will be working in under the big screen. And Mitch was born and raised on a cattle and sugarcane property in northern New South Wales. And he had to start again yesterday.
That's correct, Tim. What he found with his horse on day 1 after he'd selected it, and of course you couldn't see it from a couple of feet away, but as he got closer, he'd noticed that the little mare, it was a gelding, it was the only gelding here, he had been bitten or kicked, and it was only the size of a 20-cent piece, but it was right where the girth would go. Of course, with any horse, they can't tell us, if they are in pain or if anything's hurting. So Mitch made a really good decision based off putting the horse first, and he already knew ahead that if he went to put the girth on, that it might add to that where the horse had been bitten. And he didn't want to at any stage, the skin wasn't broken, it was only hair missing, but he didn't want at any stage to compromise the horse's health. So he made a huge decision, which the judges supported and all of us have supported, and decided that he'd come in with the second horse that he'd chosen. Of course, that's always plan B. So he came in here yesterday again from the get-go. He had to start again, but he didn't lose the first day. He was still judged. The judges still see and have watched how he was coping with the horse, what his program was. So it wasn't a lost day. It's just yesterday he had to start at the beginning, but I thought he did an outstanding job, and I just love the integrity of the man that he put the horse first.
And finally, Daniel Robinson working down the far end of the arena in this beautiful bay filly, thanks to Rose Ridge Stock Horses. And Daniel, born and bred in Newmarket in England, now lives in Orchard Hills in New South Wales and operates a breaking and training business. Actually sat on this filly yesterday just before time was up.
Yeah, he did, and it was an absolute pleasure to watch. The horse just keeps getting calmer and calmer for him, and he's the youngest competitor that we've got here. I'm not sure if he's our all-round youngest competitor, but he's certainly showing a wealth of knowledge, and that comes from his history, of course, with his father. So he's been an absolute pleasure to watch, and I'm sure you've all, for the ones that have been here before, have watched that Daniel's taken the slow, quiet approach. The others didn't go fast, but they got their hands on their horse earlier. So it was a pleasure to watch such a different approach again from such a young man.
Now, yesterday afternoon, after the competition finished, Sandy, I know you had to duck off for a presentation down in the Epsom Pavilion where our traders are working absolutely meticulously. We did something that a few people may have asked a question or two about. We actually got the trainers to go back in and re-halter their horses because we led them out for the first time. And that was all part of what we decided was in the best interest of the horse.
That's correct, and I'm glad you've mentioned that, Tim. So up until yesterday, every time the horses have been taken out of this arena, Michael and his team have come in and they've run them up into the truck. We don't want them out there free and getting worried. And then they're dropped down into their yard outside, which is undercover outside. But I spoke with Michael throughout the competition, and you can't pre-plan that because you're unsure how far the guys get with their body control and halter control. But Michael was really happy that the guys all had enough control on the horses to be led. So I went and spoke to the judges and said we would prefer, if we can, to have them let out because that's just so much nicer for the horses. And the judges and the team here at the Way of the Horse, we all decided that it would be lovelier and kinder if we got the guys back in to put the halter on, and then Michael led them out and ponied them off another horse that these horses already know. So it's not that we added on time for training. What we did not want to happen was someone fresh and new to come in and handle these horses and change what was already happening in the communication that had already been developed. So we worked with the guys, the trainers and the horses, and it was watched by every judge that we have here to ensure that there was true transparency. So again, not a hidden fact, put it out there in the open, but for the best interest of the horse, that the trainer and the horse remain together throughout the entirety, just to get them out safely.
Well, thank you very much for clarifying that, Sandy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to introduce you to our judges. We welcome out firstly Kate Elliott. Give her a round of applause and welcome her. Now, Kate, we've got one issue. You're known as the happy judge. You're just having a great time over on that judges panel.
Look, we're all honoured to be here. It's an absolute privilege, and just for this one brief moment, we have practiced arrogant judges' faces to share with you. One moment, please.
On the big screen. I like the happy face better.
Me too.
Well, Kate, thank you. Secondly, today we welcome Mr. Brett Parbury. Brett, it is wonderful to see you here. Day 3, got any expectations?
I'm really looking forward to today. Today for me is where hopefully most of the guys will make the move to sitting on the horses and maybe the first ride. It will be able to see all of the work from the last 2 days come together, hopefully, so I'm really excited.
And finally, from Texas in the United States of America, we welcome out Anthony Lucia. Mate, welcome.
Thank you guys so much. I just want to say a big thank you to Equitana for doing this program and being able to showcase such great horsemen. And yes, there will be a winner crowned tomorrow in this competition, but when it comes down to it, all of us that are able to witness this program, we're the real winners.
Now, in terms of the competition, I'm so pleased you brought that up. We're actually going on a day-by-day judging panel rather than how far they actually get. You're wanting to see how they get to where they're going, how they do it day by day.
Well, one of the things that we're looking at is at the end of this program, this is a hurried process because it is a competition. But one of the things that we're really focused on as the judges is what is the future of these horses? At the end of the day tomorrow, I want to see these horses actually have learned something and actually have furthered their lives and broadened their horizons in the arena.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands to our judges. We'll welcome them there to their judging tables. And it is almost time to start. So now, if you cast your eyes down here to the in-gate, we will welcome our 3 trainers out this afternoon. Working in the closest round pen here, we will welcome Damien Hall to centre stage. As we said, Damien was raised in northwestern New South Wales, and very early on in his life, he was exposed to horses. Damien's childhood involved weekend spending attending horse sports and camp drafting. He enjoys camp drafting through to today and has found a natural progression from stock work at home to the competition ring. Our second trainer today, working the chestnut in the middle round pen, we welcome out Mitch Gollan. Mitch Gollan was born and raised on the cattle and sugarcane property in northern New South Wales, where he began riding horses at a very early age. It was the rodeo and bull riding industry, however, that consumed his early childhood and into adolescence, where he qualified and finalised at National Bull Riding Championships. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, please make him welcome the young gun, Daniel Robinson, born in Newmarket, England, who now lives in Orchard Hills with his partner Alexandra and operates a breaking and spelling farm there in Sydney's west. He grew up in the heart of the racing industry with his assistant today, his father Philip Robinson, who was a champion jockey in Hong Kong for several years. And Daniel was eager to follow in his footsteps. He grew a little bit too tall, so now he makes his mark in the racing industry as one of our leading breakers and trainers. Well, Sandy, well, Phil, well, Dom, we have got a great day today, and we are very close to starting.
Oh, absolutely. I'll just give the guys a minute to set up their gear all around. I'd like to mention that you've seen all of the trainers come in today, and they have a helper. Their helper is usually either their mentor, their friend, or brother, cousin, father. They come in here. Their role is to just deliver and hand over whatever it is the guys need from outside of the pen. That was decided a long time ago when we first started this competition. We didn't want the guys running in and out of the gate every time they wanted to bring in an obstacle or change something or pick up a girth or a bridle, etc. So these guys on the outside are here as full support to these trainers. At no stage are they allowed to have their body inside that round pen. They're not allowed to have their arms or heads through the round pen. They're just purely there as a support and to hand over what it is that the guys need. So, I would like you to check in with all of our timers. Can we have a thumbs up? For everybody out in the crowd, we usually have a 10-minute mandatory break for these guys over 75 minutes. But today there is no break and they are only going for 60 minutes. So these guys the trainers can choose to come out of the round pen if they want to break the horse or not, but again, it's not compulsory. So we got our thumbs up from all of our trainers. Okay, so I want you all to put your hands together to kick off the start of the Way of the Horse 2016 Equitana.
And as they get underway, of course, we spoke to Bruce before and the team from Rose Ridge, to Noel, to Michael and the whole family at Rose Ridge Stock Horses for their generous sponsorship. And also, Hawkes River Saddle Company, who is proud to sponsor this year's Way of the Horse competition and will present one of these three trainers with a Master Half-Seat Specialist breaking saddle to the winner. Hawkes River Saddle Company designed the breaking saddles as well as cutting saddles, barrel racing saddles, fender stock saddles, stirrup bar fenders, camp draft saddles and a full range of western saddles as well as jumping, endurance, equitation and dressage saddles.
Oh, thanks, Tim. Just while I was meandering around out here, I looked up into the crowd and I'd like to mention, and I think it's a wonderful thing for trainers in Australia. They're also open-minded and very open to learning. And I just think it's a wonderful thing that even though you've come out and done this event over the years, we've had lots and lots of wonderful trainers, but to actually look up and see one of our winners sitting here, not only watching and learning himself, but supporting all of the other trainers. So I'm going to get him to stand up and wave to you all. And I want you all to put your hands together that someone that does not need an introduction in Australia, that's for sure. Ken Faulkner. So we're up and running again. I'd like to mention to you all that we've got Dominic up here in the, he's our roving commentator and it's been working really well. Everyone's getting an opportunity to actually ask a question out of the crowd. If you look over here, you'll just put your arm up, Dom. No, good, well done. So if you do have a question, come down and have a chat with him and he'll certainly make sure that we will get it answered for you. Don't sit there and wonder what's happening. If you are confused or interested in other parts of this competition, please get to Dom and he'll get the question down to us and we'll get it answered.
Sandy, another great crowd in today, and Tim's just been mentioning down there in the trade hall. I had a little visit down there myself. Summertime, I looked for a straw hat, that's the time, and some great traders down there, and it's been fantastic to have a wander through down there and see all the different traders and what they have to offer us all. I guess today we're getting to that spot where, excuse me, anybody who's ever tried to do what we're watching here today and start a colt at home or a filly or whatever you have, I don't know about you, but I know that day when I put my foot in the stirrup, sit up there and go, what is going to happen? My heart still beats real fast when that happens. And so my wife does it now, and I don't have to worry about it. But
is that why, Phil, your wife carried all your shopping bags out last night as well?
That's the one, mate. She's up here watching, getting a few tips, so when we get home, we'll have her back at work again.
I've got to laugh, Phil. You say your heart still beats when you get up there. I don't ride young horses anymore because I've got a heart of gold. Small, yellow and hard to find.
But that's the spot at this point where you do all the groundwork, like we've seen these three guys do, done a wonderful job. But to me, still, when you step up and that day, you've got to go, okay, this is it. We've got to move off today. And it's the preparation, the foundation that these trainers have put on these horses, I'm sure everything's going to go. But everyone, I think, has that little doubt in their mind. So I'm really looking forward to this part.
Oh, so am I. And what you're actually seeing now, guys, you'll see that these three trainers, again, have all come in and picked up where they were yesterday. And that's the part that I love. I love to see them coming out fresh the next day and to see what the horse has processed and what it's remembered and what was solid taught to them. And, of course, you're watching them all, and we've had Daniel up and down already. So it just shows that what the horse has learned is remained up in their minds, and you'll see the horses are more comfortable, they're more calm, they're more relaxed. So that's certainly telling the guys that they've done a good job, that it was solid, and the horses aren't going back to square one. So that's a part that I love to see. It gives you a really good radar on how efficient and solid your training has been. So it's fun to watch and see these guys pick up from where they're going. I'm not too sure, Phil, with these sticks and flags. Is that about flies? Because if it is, I'd love one. Who here's got the flies hanging around today? Yeah, they're certainly down here driving us nuts. So keep an eye on what's going on here with Mitch. So remember that this horse yesterday, it was his first day out, or her first day out here. And Mitch again went over and taught this horse yesterday what he had taught the horse the day before. And he's come in and picked up, and he hasn't had to go as far back as he had to yesterday, starting from the beginning. He's just sort of picked up, and he's now gone into sacking the horse out and desensitising it. So he's way ahead of where he was yesterday. And that just shows that what he has been teaching the horse is quite solid.
Sandy, I think Dom's got a question for you.
Sandy, I know this question's been asked before, but for those that haven't been here before, I've got Liz from Queensland. She want to know the age of these horses.
Oh, great question. Again, these horses from birth have been groomed for this competition. These horses are rising 3. When we go out and choose these horses, I work closely with Michael and his family and the stud, Rose Ridge Stud. And when we go out there, we take a look and we try and bring in the horses that are maturing well, that are growing at a good rate, that don't, some foals can do it a bit harder than others. But the ones that we've got in here were personally hand-picked, with Michael, because they showed good knees. They were nice and getting nice and closed in the knee. They had a good strong shoulder, strong hip. And it's about the maturity. Some horses are quick in maturing and some are a bit slower. So with Michael's help and his family, we've made sure that we've picked the best and the most mature that we can bring out.
Sandy, I know the question was asked yesterday by a younger person, but I'll ask it again. They've all got very short tails.
Yeah, exactly. Their tails are at home, hanging up in the tack room. And everybody here, I'm sure, has got their horse's tails somewhere. These horses, actually, Michael and I were having a bit of a giggle when we went through the mob a couple of months ago. He, and it's quite common in young horses, but he had one tail chewer. And that one tail chewer did an efficient job. It got through the whole mob. So it's got nothing to do with age. Of course, you see shorter tails on younger horses. It's got nothing to do with their age. He's just got a tail chewer, and I'm still not sure if Michael's actually figured out which one it was.
And isn't it annoying when you breed horses?
Oh, you're not
Do
wrong.
the weaning, go up next morning, and most of them got their tails gone, and here's this one trotting around with a beautiful tail dragging down on the ground.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're certainly
Not
wrong.
normally the one you want to keep either, probably.
Yeah, that's the one that's hacking up a fur ball. Yeah, so it's got nothing to do with age. Again, just tail chewing. Very, very common problem.
Tim made a really, actually a lovely comment in the intro here when he talked about these trainers and the foundation, and that's a wonderful word with what we're doing here. The foundation for the rest of life for these horses, and it's so important that we get that foundation and have a happy horse through the whole journey of that, no matter what field we want to go into. And I think that the judges over there, who are all from a vast different area of horsemanship, would all agree that, look, even though we have, different techniques, at the end of the day, basically the basics are the same for whatever we want to do.
I totally agree, and that's one of the greatest qualities of Rose Ridge Stud. Michael Michael goes home with the attitude of, you know, these horses aren't broken in. They're started. You know, they've been wearing a saddle. They've been out in this wonderful forum. But he goes home knowing that they're not broke in. He goes home with a plan to get these horses back under saddle at a slower rate. And most of the horses, he does sell a few, but most of the horses he keeps and his kids use them. I'm not sure if you've seen Michael's kids out there of late. They're the one riding the little bull around, which I'm in awe of. I think it's amazing. But his kids are very, very talented. I've seen them over a few years now. And getting these horses home, and that's the tribute to such a good breed, that these horses go home and inside of a couple of weeks, Michael's kids are riding these horses and they use them in various different sports, a lot of trick training, some liberty stuff, polo, camp drafting. And they're such a versatile horse. But the best part is that Michael takes them home and slows them down. And every horse so far that he's had through this competition has gone on to have a super successful career. So that's one of the greatest qualities that I love about Rose Ridge Stud. Their depth of horsemanship and understanding and knowledge to keep these stock horses going through for the rest of their lives is just outstanding.
I think, Sandy, as all of us who want to compete at a very top level, people have fads on breeding, as you know. Like there's an in-fad breed for a while, then it may change. And most of that comes from the one that comes through quickly for some trainer and all of a sudden that's a new superstar. But a lot of times, you know, the slower you go, the quicker you get there. And sometimes the mental, you know, getting these horses to start really coming to what you want to do, and some take a little longer than others, but keeping that really good mental attitude and a very, very happy horse at the end of each day's training or lessons. And you can sure put a horse back further in an hour than you can go ahead in a month if you don't keep your head and be very, very, very patient about what you're doing. But the mental attitude of that horse and coming to what you want to do and developing a partnership is so important. And this foundation right here is where it all starts.
I totally agree. My husband is always, I hear him saying it all the time, and, you know, he starts young horses and behavioural horses at home, and his saying is fast equals slow. If you go too fast, it's going to take you forever because you're going to be damage controlling and putting too much pressure on. But slow equals fast, meaning the slower you go, the faster you're going to get the job done. So it's a really good attitude to have, and that's what I've witnessed through Rose Ridge Stud over the years. I mean, I've been out to Michael's place and they've had 15, 20 horses standing in a line, and not one gets upset or cranky or pulls back, and it just shows the quality of the training that happens down there on the stud, and it's a compliment to such a wonderful breed that they have. I think everybody out there, when you think of Australian stock horse, you want to think of Rose Ridge Stud, that's for sure.
Yeah, one I like too, Sandy, is less is more.
Yeah, that's a really good...
Less is more.
Yeah.
I had a question here. Why aren't there any females out there?
Why aren't there any females? What am I?
No, competing.
That's a very good question. I actually had that conversation
Asked
yesterday.
by a little girl, I've lost it now.
Oh, she must have run away. I had that question asked of me yesterday by actually Heath Harris, who is our wonderful sponsor here, and that's something that we would love to do in the future. You know, if you're sitting in the audience and you think that you really like this competition and it's something that you would like to try, or something that you're interested in being a participant, then all you need to do is contact Equitana, send us an email. If you know of someone out there, and that's the part I spoke about yesterday with this competition, it allows us to bring those super, super young trainers out from their backyard and getting them out here and exposing them and sharing their wealth of knowledge that they have. This is not an elite competition. This is for anybody and everybody. If you feel that this is something that you want to do, no matter what your age is or sex, it's not a gender competition, it's a horsemanship competition, male or female. Come and stick your hand up and have a chat to us about, well, how do I apply? We would love to see some women out here. I certainly know I would, and I promise I wouldn't be biased.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that one, Sandy. Two of the boys have got the saddles on now. One thing I did notice with the little grey mare when she came in this morning, and there was no friend here in this middle pen, and she went straight back to where we did the first day. She was looking up over that top rail, looking for her mates, and straight away now Damien's got her back where he left off yesterday, getting a really nice lunge around there, getting her feet moving, saddle on, no problem. Daniel's done the same thing down here.
Oh, one of the things I've been watching Damien get established with his horse today, and the mare's been showing that over the last 2 days, is that she likes to lock her feet down and have a bit of an opinion. So Damien's been working very hard, as you just saw then. He wants to get her out and travelling. If you have no forward, you're in trouble. So forward, first of all, yield to pressure, getting them to flex and follow their nose. So that creates your steering, but you must have your horse going forward. That's your main ingredient. No forward, you don't know which way they're going to go. So Damien's certainly been working hard on getting that established with that little mare, because she does like to stand there and, just give a bit of an opinion.
See him with his flexing too. I think just going back to the basics and the foundation we're talking about here is that I don't think there's an event anywhere in the world or anything we do with a horse that he doesn't lead with his nose when he's on that turn. So he's getting that done right here, getting his nose control, a little bit of that nose, but building that bend, which is so important later on for stops, turns, circles, and having that horse travelling right on that circle.
Oh, I totally agree. And I'm sitting down here and I'm having a bit of an internal chuckle to myself. We see young Daniel here. Did you all just see him a minute ago? He got up and down on the offside. I'm not sure about you, Phil, but what I do know, when I get on my horse from the offside, she's 2 hands taller.
Oh, and doesn't it make you hard? How easy does he do it?
I know, it makes me sick. And why don't these guys have a mounting block?
Sandy, another question I've had was, how many entries did we have to start with before we scaled it down to 3?
Oh, another great question. Thanks, Dominic. That deserves a round of applause, doesn't it? Calm, happy, relaxed. I'm not going to talk about Daniel's heart. That might be up in his throat, but everything else looks good. You know that duck syndrome? Everything looks smooth and calm on top of the water, but underneath they're paddling like hell. I'm sure that's what's happening with Daniel. So,
Got
the
a very...
amount, the amount of applications that we get for this competition, that varies from year to year, but usually we get up to around 25 to 30. What happens with that application is that they have to send us in some footage showing us starting a young horse, as they would in this competition, of course not under the time frame. And then that comes in and there is a selection board inside of Equitana, and it's well known and regarded trainers and judges inside the industry. And then they look at that and they create a shortlist. The shortlist then goes into audition, and then out of audition we get the final 3.
Sandy, Mitchell just got that little mare to step over that plastic. Wonderful job, with as much as he got done with her yesterday, and he's got back there and starting to build a really good relationship with her, and she's starting to build a little trust in him.
Yeah, that's the part. I mean, I had a few conversations with Mitch earlier on yesterday and the day before when he decided to change horses, and I really admired the conversation that I had with him, because at no stage did he put himself first before the horse. And that just shows integrity, not only as trainer, but of man as well. So, I'm right behind Mitch on this whole thing. Is he behind? No, absolutely not. He's just got to come back and repeat what he did on day 1. And he's doing a fantastic job at it as well.
Got a bit of progress down here with Daniel.
Yeah, well, we see Daniel's on now, and we were, over the last 2 days, again, we've been talking about the bending and the flexing and the following of the nose. Of course, that's starting our steering. And we spoke yesterday a lot about, and you see the guys doing it, which Mitch is actually doing here now. It's pushing around that back end, and of course, the haunches of the horse, or the rump of the horse, that's what we call the motor. And it's also a wonderful handbrake. So getting the connection from the nose down into the rump, that's exactly what Daniel's using now. So yesterday when Daniel got on, we spoke about, well, he can't just get on and kick. We all get on our horses and we kick with our leg and off they go. Well, this horse has no idea what a leg means. So what is it that he's going to use to get the horse to go forward without a kick? So what he's doing is he's tipping the nose, and he's going to tip the horse off balance. What happens then when they get tipped off balance, if you watch, you'll see the haunches will start to move, and that'll kick the front end forward. So he's just going to bend. You'll notice when the horse goes forward, he just leaves it alone. So he doesn't have permission to get up there and go asking too much. He's just going to go back to what the horse already knows prior. And the back end will activate the front end.
The other thing too, Sandy, that's very interesting down there that he's done, he's built that little mechanism in there right from the start. I wish someone had told me this a long time ago. Would have saved my heart a little bit, what bit I had left, is he kept disengaging, moving those hips over and taking the power away from the horse, so that at that very stage, before he ever moved that horse off, he did the same exercise on board, kick the hip over. So if there was a little bit of a explosion, we could call it, that's his little safety mechanism. Pull that nose, kick the hip over, so the horse can't jump forward and really take a hold of him.
Yeah, most people call it the hip disengagement. I call it Holy Hannah, I'm about to die manoeuvre.
How good is that?
That is fantastic, isn't it? And I don't know about you, Phil, but as we get older, I actually think sitting trot should be outlawed. What do you think?
Totally agree.
Sandy, I've got Brett from Sydney wanted to know, these horses are going to go on to be ridden in bridles. Why wouldn't any of the men out there started their horses with bridles? Probably a question for one of the lads or all the lads.
Okay, well, I can actually answer that for you, because I've had an in-depth discussion with all of the guys. They do not have to put a bridle on the horse. That's totally their choice. But the reason why these guys were chosen in the first place is because they have a system and a methodology that they follow. Now, some trainers choose to ride in halters first up, some choose bridles first up. So again, it's a personal choice. Who's going to get on and ride in a bridle in this competition today? I've got no idea. Obviously, we see down there Daniel's got the halter on. So it's a personal choice on what they believe is the right thing for their system. It is not a rule or a law. The only rule or law that we have here that we are insistent on is they must wear a helmet.
I think probably, Dominic, with a high-pressure time zone that we have to do this, the boys right from the start have built that little control in, getting that nose and that with the halter straight off. So there's going to be a lot less problems, as you know, anybody mouthing horses and the horse not being used to that bit and probably not being able to be really comfortable with it in that time zone when we've only really got 3.5 hours to do the job overall.
Very little time.
And that's such an interesting topic, guys, because there's so many different ideas and education out there now on bitless bridles, halters, bridleless even. So again, and I tell everybody, when they're training with me, you choose what suits you, what you think is the best thing and fits right for you. I don't have an opinion on any of them. The only thing I look for in riding a horse is safety. So you choose what fits you and what you think keeps you safe.
Sandy, you talk about bridleless. Yesterday I talked about hashtag Equitana 16. I was just looking up on my computer a moment ago, and I think we'll let that applause go. If you actually search the hashtag Equitana 16, you'll see a man riding a cutting horse bridleless yesterday down in the Epsom Pavilion.
Yeah, I think that might have been my favourite friend down here, Phil. He was showing me that before. Again, I'm in awe of that. That is such an outstanding thing to do. And the trust and the communication and the connection that Phil had with that horse. You know what, guys? That's why Phil is here with us, because his depth of knowledge and understanding of horse training surpasses so many. And he's here to share his wealth of knowledge, and he showed that yesterday. Riding a cutting horse without any steering gear. I mean, that is something I'm in awe of, and hopefully one day he'll ask me to have a ride, hopefully.
Sandy, the great part about that is I borrowed that horse.
Well, that's even better.
I wasn't sure if it was going to work either. But we had to give it a go.
And it was outstanding, and I loved watching it, Phil. So I'm down the end here with Daniel. He's popped out of the round pen for a minute, so we'll just check in and see how you're going.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy with her. That's why I chose to give her a break now. She's got a lot to think about. She's just seen me on her, moved out really nicely. When I walked in, she come straight up to me. Probably could have caught her, but I wanted just to make sure she was using her head a bit before, and she then went away, but she come back to me pretty quickly. I'm really happy with her. Yeah.
I mean, I see that you're wearing a Hawkesbury River saddle. Is there any particular reason why that saddle?
Because I use it at home. They're really nice saddles. If anyone's actually going to get a stock saddle, I recommend them speaking to Keith Harris. He does really good gear.
That's fantastic. And of course, the saddles to start young horses is paramount to the whole ingredient of everything that you would use. And you'll see out here that these guys are using Fender saddles, and I'm not sure if all of them are Heath saddles, but they certainly look like it. They're a good saddle. They protect you and help you. They don't eject you. So having the right saddle on a young horse is one of the greatest things that you can do. You pick the safest and the best fitting.
Sandy, I've got a question for Daniel, so you want to get back over there too, Daniel. The question is, you've obviously got a racing background. Do you train anything other than racehorses? And do you have a stand here that someone can come along and catch up?
Yeah, we don't have a stand here, but if you go on Facebook and put our business names, DPR Breaking, we do a lot of stuff on it. We do a lot of other horses. It's probably about 80% thoroughbreds, but we keep a lot of performance horses and pleasure horses coming in. Yeah.
Well said.
Sandy, what about, I noticed with Daniel as well, he had a little dressage whip. Do you think, what's your feel? He didn't want to kick? That's his little
Oh, absolutely.
go-ahead mechanism?
And absolutely, and he's done no different on the ground. You know, if he wasn't using the whip, he was swinging his rope. So all it is a motivator. You know, teaching the horse on the ground to go forward off a cue is fantastic for when you get on, because you can still use the same cue.
How good is, I've never seen a racehorse trainer with a hackamore in my life.
I don't know if the racehorses would be able to stop, would they?
And look down here, your favourite horse.
Yep.
Damien's been on.
Yep, she's doing me proud today, this little horse.
Pretty good here with Mitch too. He's ready to saddle up, and he's really made some progress. Got this little horse really partnered up with him.
Oh, I totally agree. I've been fascinated watching Mitch, the focus that Mitch has got. I'm pretty sure that he doesn't even acknowledge where he is. He's in there, the focus is so strong. Walking around the outside, and Phil and I, you and I've got the best job in the world, don't we?
We sure do.
Yeah, front row seats. Yeah. So by watching, and you can nearly feel, it's nearly palpable, the focus that Mitch has got on this horse. There's a true connection happening in there. And, you know, as much as this horse is sensitive about it, Mitch is just calm and consistent, calm and consistent.
Sandy and Phil, question for you. You talk about his focus. How important is it for a trainer, whether you're at home or here in this arena, not to let your nerves and your anxiety come through when you're training?
Well, that's the best thing about horses, Tim, is they just seem to help you get rid of that. Once you get out there and get connected, you focus on what you're doing and your plan and task at hand. And horses only worry about right now. They're not worried about yesterday or tomorrow. So they get you, I call it horse time. They get you really focused and centred on what you're doing right there and right then. And that's the best thing. The more focused, the more you can see and feel. So again, but focusing and connecting to the horse is a learned skill. You know, you've got to get in there and learn to stay in the present moment and hear what the horse is saying. So you'll see that all with these guys here. You know, unless I'm asking them or Phil's asking them a question, I don't really know that they know how many people are here. Actually, let's not tell them. Let's keep that a secret.
I think, Tim, further on, woo, that's what I mean about heartbeat, right there. Yep. Tim, I think further on from the next step, when we get these horses to where we want to go, and we actually, when you talk about focus from a trainer's point of view, I know a long time back in the US when I was showing a lot of horses over there, and one of my peers used to say, you know, Phil, you've got to have been there before you get there. And I went, what is he absolutely talking about? Is he off his head? Now, you know, no matter what event you're in, and that means your mental preparation and have gone through all that in your mind before you actually get to that spot. And you have to be so focused, but you've gone over it and over it and over it in your head before the actual event starts.
Yeah, it's definitely a learned skill. I'd like to talk a little bit about Mitch's horse here. We all saw that he sort of, she, we've got all fillies now, she took off then bucking. Now, this is the part that people get confused with. Normally I would look at that and think, well, you know, we're drawing straws, Phil, and you're getting the short one.
Dawn, where are you?
Yeah,
Yep. She's
you're
up there.
definitely the one getting on. But actually, a horse wearing a saddle for the first time, reacting like that, it's very normal. That does not mean he's going to ride a horse that bucks. To have the horse feel the pressure, feel the stirrups, feel the banging and the crashing around while they're on, to have them buck here is just a pure expression of honesty. That does not mean that he's going to get on a bucking horse. What that means is he's going to work harder to get the horse forward, more comfortable, more confident. No trainer here has a goal to get on a bucking horse. That's for sure.
And just before I make my way over to the other side, if there's anyone with a question over this side here, you put your hand up, I'll come over and grab your question, or I was going to make my way over to the other side shortly.
See, and Mitch has gone back to just keep those feet moving, get that forward motion going. And so he can start controlling that little mare's mind again. Oh, there's a little bit of another little, what I call a speed hump. Some speed humps get higher. And he's just gone back to the basics, keep those feet moving, try and control that mare's mind and get her thinking about going forward.
Yeah, we call that the replacement concept at home, Phil. When we see a horse doing something with a reaction that's not in our best interest, we try and replace it with an action that is within our best interest. So you'll see that Mitch then said, well, there's the tarp, there's the pole, and the horse stopped thinking about the saddle and started thinking about something else. So at home we call that the replacement concept. When you see something you don't like, replace it with something you do like. What I'd like to talk about now, I'm down here with Damien, and we noticed down the other end Daniel had the whip and he tapped and helped the horse go forward off the whip. And I'm watching Damien now, and he's up on the horse and he's encouraging the horse go forward with a similar way, but he's tapping the horse across the neck or tapping his leg. So again, he's creating a motivator for the horse to pay attention to as the horse goes forward. At this stage of these training, these guys aren't touching those faces. They're the halters or the leads. They're saying, go, you are on your way, and they don't create any resistance. They just sit up there, get the horse travelling forward so the horse learns to be confident carrying the rider.
Well, what a display we're seeing here today, and it's great to welcome as Damien rides this horse around. We saw Daniel ride a little earlier on. These two gentlemen are really doing a superb job on tricky fillies, but Heath and Chrissy Harris, we get the better part of Hawkes River Saddle Company here today. Heath, welcome back to Way of the Horse, day 3. We've got 2 riders up and riding. It's pretty exciting.
Yes, it's absolutely looking fantastic because, I mean, I was here yesterday and it was nowhere near what it is today. And congratulations to them all.
What a great turn-up of people we've got. There is a huge want for knowledge in our industry, isn't there? People want to know more about how they can do it better at home.
Well, I think what it needs and what it takes is, basic thing about horsemanship is that you have to have an eye. You have to have a very good power of perception and concentration and watch what that horse is telling you.
These guys here are working away. The saddlery or the saddle that we put on our horse, we've been saying, in our commentary, is just so important. And the saddle that you're giving away, the Outlaw, the half seat, really gives riders that connection, gives you that feeling, which is just so important for when you're early on starting a horse.
Well, the Outlaw Master is a saddle that I specifically designed as a trainer breaker saddle. It is the first time ever that I know of that a saddle has been specifically designed for the job. It's always some saddle that's been built to do something else, but that'll do the job. No, we've built this saddle to actually do the job, to fit most horses, be close to your horse, be balanced, and give you the security that you need. That saddle there's got to be able to go on a 13-hand pony to an 18-hand warm blood. and it's got to do the job. Hence, that's the breakers. Breakers breaking all sorts of horses, and this saddle I've probably sold about 300 in the last 18 months, and it's really proving to be a fantastic product. It's very affordable. It's a great price, and it's a terrific, tough, really tough saddle.
Well, just appreciate Damien again here. He's doing a superb job. I'm going to slide over this side because we've been chatting to Heath a lot. But Chrissy Harris, for many, many years, while Heath's been working horses, you've been the one on the outside. As the one watching or the one assisting, how do you find it being that, I suppose, the assistant to working with a horseman like Heath?
Well, it is quite challenging sometimes because I know that he knows exactly what he's doing, but when you're married to him, it's very hard to say yes dear all the time.
It can be. Now, the saddles, Heath has obviously been very passionate about the breaking saddles, the roping saddles, the swinging fenders. You have another passion and you love the show jumping in the performance horse world, and Hawkesbury River Saddle Company have a whole range for that as well.
We have a fabulous range of show jumping and dressage saddles, and the show jumping saddle has really been developed by Heath and myself, I suppose, because I love riding thoroughbreds, I love getting horses off the track, and it's very, very hard to get a saddle that fits a high-witted horse with a big shoulder. So I would keep saying to Heath, change it, it's not right. So now I think with our jumping saddle, we have a fabulous saddle that really, really suits a thoroughbred horse as well as a warm leg.
Now, what I really noticed yesterday was when we went down to your stand, the big white truck just down there outside the Epsom Pavilion, a beautiful stand that you've got with the MC apparel as well. But the prices on these saddles, they're just very affordable. They're not got ridiculous huge markings up on them.
Well, it's because we design, we manufacture, and we import them when they're made overseas, and we sell them. So there is no massive marketing budget. Our marketing budget is here, and the best advertisement we can ever get is guys like you see here all doing their job and doing it really well, and that's for us the best advertisement we can get.
Now, someone's here today, they've got an idea of the sort of saddle they want. Can they come down to the stand and sit in the saddle, touch it, feel it, and see what they think?
Absolutely. The more people that come down there, the happier we are.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. They are the ones who are putting this competition on for us this year. Could you please thank Heath and Chrissy Harris from Hawkesbury River Saddle Company? And of course, just a reminder, the big white truck literally down that end of the grandstand. Head out there past the grass arena. You can't miss it. It's right beside the R.M. Williams Longhorn Express. There's a great coffee shop just opposite as well. And go and see all their beautiful saddles. They are remarkable. Thank you very much, Heath and Chrissy.
Thanks, Tim. I'm over here with the judges now, and we're nearly halfway through, so I thought we might just check in and see how they're
Sandy,
enjoying.
can I just interrupt? Because I've just got Damien has just come out, and I'm not sure how long he's going to be, and the judges, they're sitting there the whole time.
Sure.
But I thought I'd just come, mate, what an effort. You've had a tough time with this filly. She's given you a bit of courage. She's made you sweat, but you had her riding, and she looked beautiful.
Yeah, mate, she's, I'm actually pretty impressed with her. She's just a big princess, so she just has to suck that up and get on with it. But she's going to turn into an absolutely beautiful riding horse in the long run. So, yeah, credit to the Roseridge fellas again for supplying these horses. Yeah, great.
Looked very balanced, popped up into canter quite nicely. You're happy with what you're feeling?
Yeah, pretty impressed with offside. Still a little bit stuck in the ribs on the near side, but we'll just keep on playing with that over the next, I think, half hour or so.
Now, you took a break now. You didn't have to take a break, but you wanted to just give her a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. She's gone through some pretty massive changes there at the moment, so we'll just give her a bit more time to soak on that, and when we go back in, we'll capitalise on it.
Well, mate, enjoy the break, grab a drink of water. It is quite hot out here, but what an effort from this filly that tried to jump out 2 days ago to be cantering on both leads here this morning.
Thanks, Tim. So, again, we'll start with the gorgeous young Kate Elliott over here and find out what she's thinking and feeling about today.
First of all, I'd like to acknowledge Roseridge Stock Horse Stud, what three beautiful fillies here in this instance that he's presented. And you can see generations of trainability, athleticism, and a beautiful temperament amongst each of them. And each of the individual trainers has been able to bring out their best aspects. They've read them well, discovered what they are, and worked with them.
Thanks, Kate. And we'll get a few comments off Anthony.
All three of these guys have done an outstanding job today. I do have to
I'm not being partial to anyone, but the Gray filly really came a long ways today, and that's really impressive. And the Bronchi Chestnut filly, I like her a lot. And of course, the Bay is just, I like the Bay from the first day that I saw him. You know, pretty neat how all three of them have come so far. But one of the things, these guys have been joining up with these horses, and there's a flyover here that I've become best friends with and will not leave me alone. So I just want to say, you know, us Americans really have great flymanship.
It's my turn, sorry. So basically what I'm looking for, and I'm really enjoying, is one, we're seeing three different techniques, but also we're seeing three different personalities in the horses. So I'm really looking for someone to read their horse and adapt on the way through. So I'm really enjoying how each of the horsemen, and we are looking at three of Australia's best horsemen, how they're adapting their system. You know, we're looking at great timing, great feeling from all three. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it, but particularly loving the difference in the three personalities of the horses.
Thanks, Brett. I just had a beautiful woman come down and offer us some fly repellent, and yeah, and I just gave it to Anthony, and he said, "Is it girl repellent as well?" You'll find out later. So I think everybody, seriously, you need to put your hands together for three such prestigious, wonderful judges.
I've made my way staff over this side here, so if anyone's got a question, you want to put your hand up, I'll come and see you. I do have one question for Daniel. Something that I saw used a lot in the early days, and Phil would agree here, it's something we used a lot, was the hackamore, Basel, Bozal, depends what side of the road you come from, rodeo. Something he uses with his thoroughbreds as well, or is he purely using it here today? Is it something he uses a lot?
I'll meander on over and we'll find out that answer.
Phil, I was just saying to you off air here while we're looking around, isn't it great? You know, this stadium holds just over 4,400 people. I reckon we've got over 3,500 people here watching today. Isn't it wonderful for our industry to know that there are so many people wanting to find out more? They've come along and they're going to sit through this and watch it all. I just think it's a credit to all of the crowd who are so deeply invested into what we're doing here, and a credit to the program that Equitana and Hawkesbury River Saddle Company and Rose Ridge Stock Horses have provided us here.
Fantastic, Tim. And how lucky are we to have this come every other year, and for Equitana to put this on for us? It's just, we are so lucky.
I think Daniel wanted to enter into the World Cup show jumping from last night. He's built himself a jump. He's ready to go.
And I just asked Daniel the answer for that question. And the question, to remind you all, is he's using a hackamore, a Bozal or a Bozal, depending on where you come from as to what you call it. And the question was, does he use that normally in his starting process with, because he does a lot of racehorses? And Daniel's answer was yes, he does. He uses it for around the first 10 to 15 rides, and then he'll pop the horse into a snaffle after that. So he's not showing us anything different here today that he would do at home in his normal program. And again, when these guys came in and auditioned, we are seeing what they did in the audition here today. And that's showing us that the trainers are true to their own methodology. They don't come out here and second guess themselves or change what they're doing. They stick by what they know best. And being different doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just different. And they believe in what they're doing, and they're following the methodology that they have developed over the years, and they're showing that. So that's one of the qualities that we love about the trainers that come out here, is they don't come out and second guess. They actually know this system inside out, and they offer that and show that here in front of you. So you're not seeing anything different to what they would be doing at home. You'll notice with Daniel now, by putting the jump out there, that's not only getting the horse confident to step over that, but it allows him time, as well as the tarp, it allows him time to test his steering. The horse can at any stage stop and turn and go another way and say, I don't want to do that. But what he's discovering is a level of trust with the horse, and it's showing him where his steering is at for that moment, and whether he needs to work on one side more than the other, or if it's actually solid in the horse or not. And by putting obstacles out there, that's where they're testing the trust. The horse needs to know that they are safe, they are okay, and they're comfortable no matter what's put in front of them. So that's where your partnership and connection really starts to get exposed. So the trainers, by using different obstacles, starts to develop a deeper connection. I'm looking up here and I can see Michael from Rose Ridge Stud, and I think it might be time that we ask Michael to come down and give us some thoughts on, I'm sure he looks at all of these horses, he breeds like children, and they're very precious to him. So we'll just ask Michael how he's enjoying the day and what he thinks of what's going on.
Yeah, thanks, Sandy. Another great day here at Equitana. The horses led in very well with the help of Bruce O'Dell and Harley Kenny, Dad's offsider. Very impressed with the horses today. I think it's really good to see probably the grey mare smoothing out for Dipper. I had my concerns that she may have bucked for him, and there's no doubt about the little brown ivory mare up here in the corner. Daniel's done a fantastic job. I think Harry's taken a real liking to that mare. He's probably got his eye on it, as little men do. And the chestnut mare here in the middle, we're just going to wait and see what happens.
Oh, I love that.
Sandy, something that was pretty special, I was mentioned to Tim when Damien first loped that little mare around that pen, and I know anybody that started a lot of young horses, it's very difficult for them to hold their hind lead in that circle, which may be the very first time they've ever done it with a rider on their back. That little mare showed us so much natural balance and ability that she held those hind leads. It was very impressive. Something I look, every time you start one, you know, you may have one that might go for a couple of weeks before she gets enough balance to lope around or canter around a circle like that.
Absolutely, and it's. I think it's important for us to mention now. You're all looking at the round pens. Equitana, when we first started to put together this program back in the late 90s, they asked me to go out and research and make sure that we bought the best, safest round pens that are of the best appropriate size. And so we found a study that was done over in the States back in the early 90s, and they found that the round pens that were see-through were kinder to the horses, and the horses felt more relaxed. What they did find is when the walls of the round pens were enclosed, that the horses under speed started to see the wall as a ground and would climb up the wall as they were running. So when they can see through it, they acknowledge that it's there and it doesn't become blurred under speed. And the other thing too with round pens that was done in the research was what is the appropriate size. So it's very important for you all to understand, if you are thinking about building a round pen or purchasing a round pen, the world known approved size of a round pen is 55 feet or 16.8 metres in diameter. It's important in a round pen that you don't go too small. If you do that, then you will have the horse feeling like they are trapped, or they will get claustrophobic. And again, you don't want to go too large, because then you're just going to wear out and they will feel that they can escape. So the size of the round pen and the style of the round pen, if anyone's interested in building one or buying one, please take note of what we have here and try and find similar out in the industry, because they are now known as the safest round pen in the world. And the best thing I love about a round pen is trying to find the corner.
Sandy, just to explain to some of the people sitting here, one thing I noticed about Daniel's little mare there, when she started to move off and she was really shaking her head. Something that's very, very common with a hackamore when you first put it on a horse. And the reason that is you can see how it's a little more restrictive than what the halter was on that little horse. And they start to open their mouth, tongue, and that just restricts the movement of that jaw a little bit. And you could just see her really shaking her head and saying, you know, this never had it on before. But it's something that's very, very common and normal. And you can see what Daniel did. He just asked her to come to the side one rein at a time and didn't pull on her. You can't take hold of a hackamore or a boatswain two-handed like that. It's all the beginning training you've got to do is always got to be one side, then the other side. The minute you start to take hold of one with two hands and pull, all you do is get into a tug-of-war with your horse, and you will not win that.
And it's a really good point there, Phil. And of course, again, we're lucky because we're down ringside, but when you're sitting up there, you look down at Daniel and what the horse has on its head, and it looks very similar to a halter. But there is a lot of differences. And again, the hackamore gives you, and a lot of, like Phil just said, it creates a restriction. A lot of trainers like that because they want a specific point of pressure. What a halter can do is give you a generalised point of pressure. So again, it's personal choice. What we do know, if you look down here with Damien, he's got the halter on. There's more movement on the face with the halter because the halter is softer, more pliable, and it doesn't really give you a specific point of pressure. When you pick up on the lead, you'll have the whole halter apply, and it applies pressure, and the horse has to figure out what you're talking about. But again, they were taught on the ground to respect the halter and listen to it, so by getting on, it's exactly the same form of communication. So there is a lot of differences. As we talk about, the bit and the bridle, you see the horses wearing the bridle for the first time, all they try and do is spit it out. So it's about giving it time for them to figure out and get comfortable with it.
Sandy, just had a little notification up here. Daniel's about to start using the stock whip again. So we just want to let the boys know that he's going to bang that stock whip. The other thing, it's something to mention about the hackamore, and I think just a real little slight transition what Daniel's done here from the hackamore, from the halter to the hackamore, very, very similar. The lovely thing about hackamore horses, and it comes back from the Spanish tradition, California rein cow horse tradition of training rein cow horse, reining horses, is that you get a lovely pull on the outside of the jaw from the middle of the nose right around the outside of the jaw. When you take your direct rein, that pull is on the offside of the jaw, and it gets you a really nice control. And it takes a few days for those little horses to stop shaking that head and accept that, but it all comes back to the patience of doing it and building that foundation, as we spoke from right from the start today.
And the other thing I'd like to mention, Phil, is, we spoke yesterday about how accessible horse training is and gadgets and things that we can buy out. Google is our best friend. I, for one, personally have found that I've got very, very confused. Too much information, not sure on what I should be buying and using. So if you are interested in the differences between all of these things that are used on horses, go and find someone inside the industry that you do trust that does have the knowledge, and actually get an opinion based on experience. Don't get an opinion based on a sales pitch. There's a huge difference by understanding why you would want to use an apparatus or why you would not. And the difference is being educated as to what the difference is. Know first through education as opposed to a sales pitch. There's a big difference.
Sandy, just to give everyone an update, we had 60 minutes at the start. Time flies when you're having fun. Just a little over 7 minutes to go. Just a little over 7 minutes for all of our trainers to go today. Just letting them know, 7 minutes now or just over.
And Sandy, I think to back up what you just brought up, when people are looking to get started, find something that you really like, that's successful for somebody, and don't chop and change. Try to stay with that system and go through. If you have some little hiccups, go back to your basic, go back, and whether it be your, there's so much info out there to read and watch on the videos today. There's lots and lots of it. So just go back, don't get frustrated, stay with your program.
And I'd like to talk about what's happening here with Mitch in the middle. You saw that he went to get on the horse, and again, she was not as relaxed as he was hoping that she would be, and not as consolidated. And again, this is speaking about good horsemen. Rather than go forward, he's gone back. So he's got off the horse, undid the lead rope, and he's gone back to the one rein, and he said, you know what, you need to move your feet, because I want you to understand when I get on that you're okay to move forward. And that's just showing quality horsemanship. You must always go backwards so you can go forwards. And it just shows that Mitch understands the missing ingredient, and the missing ingredient is forward and then relaxation. Also, it's important that everyone understands here, when you're training horses, that relaxation comes last. Of course, as you're teaching the horses, you will have and can see a bit of anxiety or a bit of concern or worry from the horse, and that's because they're learning. But once they're learned and they're comfortable and confident and competent at what they do, then you'll start to see the relaxation arrive. So always make sure you look for the relaxation last. And that's confirming for you that you're doing a good job. And Mitch saw that the horse wasn't prepared to relax and go forward, so he said, well, I've got to go backwards so that I can go forwards. And that's showing you again that he knows his methodology well and he knows what he needs to do because he's actually listening to the horse.
Talk about relax. Look at Damien up here on this grey mare, hacking around. Almost looks like he's ready to enter our freestyle dressage competition this evening.
Absolutely. I would like to remind all the trainers, when you are finished and you're unsaddling and getting out of there soon, can you please leave a halter and a lead on these horses? Again, Michael and Roseridge Stud are going to come in and get the horses out. Yesterday we had the trainers come back in and put the halters on them to get them out, purely because that was in the best interest of the horse. But we did have that watched by the judges yesterday. Every single thing that happens to these horses with these trainers are witnessed and are transparent for the whole competition.
Hey, Noel, can I buy that one as a show jumper, please?
I think you might have to fight me.
It would look very nice at my place.
Do you know, I can't jump, Tim. Do you know why?
Why?
I've got a medical condition. It's called no heart. So again, I want all the trainers to know that your clock is ticking. If you are unsure of how much time, just look at your timers. They will give you a heads up. And again, I'd like to thank our timers for sitting here so patiently and staying focused and keeping a watch on these clocks for us. It's quite easy to get distracted and watch what's going on. So they're doing a great job as well. And I'd just like to say thank you to the whole team that get in here and get these pens down, pens up, back out, horses in. This is a huge task on Equitana's behalf. And they do it so beautifully, efficiently and professionally. And it's a wonderful competition to be involved in.
Well, Sandy, Daniel's given me the nod. He's done for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Daniel. What an effort. Daniel, you came out here today having just sat on the horse. You ran out of time yesterday. Today you got a walk, a trot, a canter. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm really happy with her. That's actually why I let her finish earlier. She's absolutely turned the corner from yesterday. A lot of the timid signs she was showing me, she was good. I was picking up her back leg, which she's been funny with. She was a little bit head shy from the start, and she's letting me put bridles on her and hands all around her. She's just really been smart for me, so there's no point training her from here on, and she can see how she is tomorrow.
Well, congratulations, Daniel. Tomorrow's another day. Make sure you come back to see him. Well done. Just one more time, where can we find out about your business and what you're doing?
If you all get your phones out and go on Facebook, DPR Braking.
I'll translate that to Aussie, DPR Braking. On Facebook, jump on there. Thanks, Daniel, and good to have your dad here helping you out as well.
So our clock is ticking. We've got Damien down here. He's leaving a fine edge between us and 60 minutes. Again, halters will be left on these horses. They will be walked out by Michael and Roseridge Stud. Again, best way to get them out now, because they can lead, is off another horse. So they are doing that, and I will let you all know when time is up. It is not up yet, although the other two are finished, but I'll certainly let you know.
Well, Mitch Gollan now comes on out of the round pen. Mate, how are you feeling?
Oh, not too bad. Every time we got four, we had to go back. And that's the horses for you.
You got to take each horse as it comes, but I think you did have a little win there in the end.
Yeah, got a win, and that's the day we missed them. We're just missing that one day with this little horse.
Mitch, I've got to say, fantastic job, mate. Look, really, to get to that stage on the second day, and what you can see, that little horse got a lot of feel to it.
Yeah.
A lot of feel to it. And your patience, mate, and your application has just been sensational.
Thank you. Thank you very much. just need to hang in there with these little horses and just take it as it comes.
That's
Okay,
right. Thank
okay,
you.
everybody, the clock has finished. I want you all to put your hands together and thank these wonderful trainers, and we'll see you all tomorrow for the final of the Way of the Horse Equitana 2016.